Welcome back to the Physical Chemical Lab, video number 3, part 3. Pick up right where I left off with station 5B. I just got done cutting my magnesium strips into really small pieces and placing them in a test tube. And now 5B says that I need to add some hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid is something you don't want to get on your skin, but it is a low concentration, so I'm not too worried about it. I'm just going to add quite a bit of hydrochloric acid here. And hopefully you're able to see and maybe even hear that fizzing, that bubbling, that effervescence that is happening. And in class, you would actually put your finger on the bottom of this and you would notice that it's warming up a little bit. It's actually giving off some heat as well as all that effervescence. And like I said, maybe if you can kind of hear it, it's kind of like pop rocks going off. I don't know if that's going to show up through the computer's mic or not, but I can actually hear the effervescence. That's kind of cool to be able to hear effervescence. Putting a good amount of hydrochloric in there to complete the reaction. Okay, so there was 5B. Then 6A. 6A, you're given some copper sulfate. These are the big blue crystals right here. They're pretty solid. They look like, well, crystals. And you'd put them in your mortar and pestle and crush them up. So if I grind these up, I use the mortar and pestle, which is usually meant for more powders than it is for this stuff, but I'm actually grinding it up into a fine powder. This is a property of copper sulfate that is crushable. If you remember our metals lab from a while ago, metal, we went through some things that are crushable or not crushable. Copper sulfate is crushable. But it's still copper sulfate. So for 6A, what you can say about this one is that even though it's crushing into a powder, it looks a little bit different. It's not quite as vibrantly blue or whatever. But most of this is just that it's a smaller piece. When I'm crushing it, it's becoming a smaller piece of itself. That's what's going on there. Okay. Then in 6B, I can place a small scoop of this into a test tube. So since I'm all alone and don't have to worry about, conserving anything, I'm going to do a little bit larger scoop into a test tube. And then I'm going to put my test tube into a beaker of boiling water. So maybe you've heard it off to the side. Kind of turn my camera here so you can see my beaker of boiling water. You let that sit in there for a little bit and kind of warm up. That's the purpose of that. So boiling water is, of course, hot. It is heating up. My powder is going to, hopefully, before the video is over, I put a little bit larger scoop in for a demo. It's going to hopefully melt. When you add heat to something, one of two things can happen. You can either activate it, like with the burning paper. It goes through an activation change, chemical reaction, or it can melt, just change states. It goes from solid to liquid or liquid to gas. My water in here right now is going from liquid to gas. That's what boiling is. So we'll give this just another minute here. Apparently I put a very large scoop in. That's okay. It's okay. We got time. We'll probably end up doing one last video anyways. Sorry about the lengthy videos today. But it's a little bit longer and a larger lab than normal. Once again, safety. I got my test tube clamp so I'm not touching boiling hot stuff. Okay. Yeah, I got a little bit of it to melt, but not all of it. Let's go on to our next one since we're running short on time. 6C. Small test tube. Hot water. 6C. Cool in the rack for 2 minutes, then add 10 drops of water. So we'll do that one and the last of them on the next video. So as I let this cool down for just a little bit, we'll do the next ones on the next video. Thank you very much.